Pleased to say joining us here on Diverse FM, former Luton Town player, manager, coach and various other roles at the club, Luton legend John Moore. A pleasure to see you here.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be here. It's not the best day, but everybody's just doing their best, and at least it looks like today that everybody on the pitch is giving what they've got, and that's a plus.
Very tricky conditions. I mean, we're talking here at half time after a first half with the snow swirling around, the pitch cutting up where there's mud over it. It's like the good old days for players like yourself.
Well, I mean, we just, in our day, we had to get on with it, and it was as simple as that. You just had to get on with it. Whereas sometimes you might think footballers are a bit spoiled today, like, the grass has got to be really green, and no mud patches on the pitch, no puddles, but you've just got to get on with it, whatever the conditions. I mean, good teams can play in any conditions. They'll adapt and make the best of it.
I'm sure you've got memories of games in similar conditions going back over the years.
I've got memories of a lot worse conditions than this, really, and to be honest, and it was enjoyable at the time, and it's great to be able to look back, but we've got to try and look forward.
And talking of looking forward, there's only about 8 or 9 games remaining this season. The Hatters are adrift of the playoffs at the moment. I know you do come down regularly to Kenilworth Road. What's your views on how things are changing now and looking ahead to the future for Luton Town Football Club?
Well, we've got to think we've got to look forward, and we really, truthfully, if I'm looking at the evidence of this season, it doesn't look like we've done well enough or we're not good enough, and it looks like this is the first time in 4 that we're not going to be in the playoffs, and I suppose you can only judge on that, and the league doesn't lie, because the evidence says that we aren't good enough, so that's down to us, and we've got to try and look forward and make improvements, and it's difficult because it's easy to be critical. It's so easy to be critical, but at the end of the day, a lot of teams come down to Luton, and it's the biggest game of the season, and Luton sometimes don't cope with that very well. The fact that the pressure is on, and we're expected, because of the size of us in the conference and the size of these other little clubs in the conference, and no disrespect to them, they all come down, and a lot of them make it more difficult for us than we seem to be able to do for them, especially when we go away.
And how much are you enjoying still being involved here at Kenilworth Road and coming back?
Well, I just enjoy coming to watch the games, really, and I'm grateful to the board and the people here since these new people took over. They've encouraged me to come back and give me a seat in the stand and somewhere to come, and that's great. I mean, I'm really appreciative of that. I'm just grateful. I'm just thankful that I'm still able to come and watch the games, and I'd like to see us doing better, but at the end of the day, I think everything takes time to build, and that's the problem sometimes, is that everybody wants instant success, and that means that the managers get sacked, and where he hasn't really had time to do anything. But it's very difficult because every manager has his own ideas and his own things that he wants to put in place, and it takes time to be able to build to that team, because it's so hard to get out of this league. The number of teams that are ex-league teams in here is frightening. There's about a third of the league is ex-league, and they're all trying to get out, and they're all fighting and scrapping and whatever, and the little teams are fighting and scrapping to stay in because they're so pleased to be in here. So it's really difficult, and we really haven't had a team this year who's been competitive really at every single level to gain the points and get us out. And we've been in the playoffs 3 times now out of 4, and we've been in 2 finals, and we still haven't got out, so that shows you how difficult it is.
Like yourself, the new manager John Still's got a bit of a reputation for nurturing and bringing on young players. Just talk to us a bit about that, because that could be something that changes here at Kenilworth Road over the next season.
Well, to be honest, I can't honestly say I know the strength of the club underneath. I only see the first team play at home games, really. I'm a little bit disappointed that there doesn't seem to be anybody who's really coming through. I know you might say we've had an odd player here. We've had young Watkins come through last year a bit and do a bit. JJ O'Donnell's come through this time. Jake Howells, if he's fit, he's probably in the team on a regular basis. But I still get disappointed that they're not really imposing themselves on the games. Now, it's really difficult to do that. Perhaps it's the strength level and the fear factor that because the manager really needs to encourage these kids if he wants to play them in the team, because it's no good putting somebody on the pitch and then not having faith in them or not believing in them, because it's hard for the youngster to have that faith and belief in himself to actually carry out the instructions. So it's really difficult for youngsters to break through, but it can't be any more difficult nowadays than it was in days gone by when we were in what you'd call now the Premier League, and we still had boys making their debut. So I don't see how it can be more difficult. The same things still apply, and as I said, but I've got no idea of the strength of the club underneath. To be honest, when I was dealing with youngsters, I used to always think that attitude was the most important thing. No matter how much skill or how much ability or how much belief they've got in their own self, I used to think, well, I'm sorry, it's your attitude and your desire, that you want to go on and make a player that will determine how far you go. And after that, you've got to just work on them, brush up their skills, give them the confidence, and make them believe in themselves that when you go on the pitch, you still control and pass and move with the ball whenever it's possible, and do your best. So I said I'm a bit disappointed that we don't seem to have people coming through, but it's a tough league to get out of.
And a young player that I think you worked with in previous years is here today, Liam George, watching on from the stands. Good to catch up with him.
Well, it's lovely to see Liam, because he's always a total bubbly character. I always found Liam a delight to play or to work with, because he was always bubbly. He was always effervescent, and he had this energy and this desire and this belief. He had a lot of belief in himself, and he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the biggest, he was frail, to be honest, at times, but at the end of the day, you've still got to encourage these players, because they can bring so much to the game, and everybody wants to see somebody who can do something different. They don't want to see everybody who can just kick it and run after it. I said, Luton fans don't like that. I don't think they do. I think they want to see people play the game, not not like me, just boot the ball.
Thank you very much for your time, John, and we hope to see you here for many years to come at Kenilworth Road.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Thank you.